Hello, Grade 10 Civics Model Parliament. We're going to talk a little bit about what the far right and the far left would say about different things and different political issues based on economic things and based on social things. So just for the Model Parliament, some of the things like, for example, sex education, provincial issue. The far right might say no sex education in schools, not even up to grade 12, leave that till university or after. And the far left might say, let's get it started in kindergarten, and whereas the middle might be grade 3 or 4 or 5 or something like that. As far as energy and environmental laws go, the far left would say let's concentrate more on wind and solar power. The far right would say let's stay with coal and oil. And again, the middle would be a bit of both. For Indigenous First Nations issues, the far right would say, hey, we took it, it's ours, Canada's ours, we were stronger and let the strong survive. The far left would be like, whoa, let's give back a lot to the First Nations, Indigenous people, maybe all of Alberta, all of British Columbia, which would be trillions of dollars, but it's like the least we can do. The middle would, hey, let's give them a break on taxes and university and some things, but don't go that far. As far as euthanasia and suicide goes, the far left would say it's your body and you can choose what you want to do with it. So for example, euthanasia, if you're of sane mind, over 18, and you're in pain or for whatever reason and you want to die, instead of having you commit suicide in your home and scaring people or jumping off a bridge and again maybe harming other people, they would say you come to a hospital, lie down in a bed, have a doctor speak to you, and if you're deemed to be of sane mind, then that's what you choose, then you can die with dignity. The far right would say no suicide, no euthanasia, it's against the Christian Bible, it's God's buddy. The middle liberals might say yes to suicide and yes to euthanasia in some cases, mercy-assisted suicide when people are so old, in pain, quadriplegic, for example, really nothing to live for. Perhaps, the liberals would be in the middle. As far as immigration, the far right would be like no immigration, I guess, unless you have $1 million. The far left completely open up immigration to anybody, and the middle, something in the middle, a certain percentage, maybe 67 points, or letting a certain number of refugees. And as far as the environment goes, the far right would say, let the factories get going, take off some of the laws and regulations, let them pollute, you'll have more employment, get the whole capitalist economy booming, and maybe in 100 years we'll figure out a way to clean things up. So let's benefit now and pay later. The far left would say, let's close all the factories down, put everyone out of work, but in 100 years we'd have a pristine, clean environment. So again, suffer now, but benefit later. And in the middle, a little bit of both, like yes, factories can be open, but they'll be taxed and fined if they pollute. So the far right believe in safety and security, so law and order, lots of police. The far left are freedom and privacy, less police, more community policing, maybe even the police don't have guns, just sticks like in Britain. The far right would be lower taxes, and the far left would be higher taxes. For minimum wage, for example, the far left might say $40 an hour. The middle would be like $15 or $16 an hour. The far right might be $2, $3, $5 an hour. And as far as education and healthcare go, the far right would say everything should be privatized. Only those that can afford it should get it as far as healthcare or education. The far left would be like no private schools, no private hospitals, no private healthcare allowed. Everything public, all money put into the public. The middle would be a mixed model where you have a bit of both. When it comes to some moral issues, for example, abortion, terminating pregnancy, the far left would say anytime a woman wants to abort, they can. The middle would be like, okay, restrictions, certain number of trimesters maybe, and the far right would be never, the person would even be charged for wanting to have or give an abortion. Drug addicts, when it comes to drug addicts, the left would say they get help more through health care, and the right would say let's help society with those type of people through jail punishment. On that note, the left believe in rehabilitation, that an offender committed a crime, but it's not really their fault individually. Society let them down, their family let them down, circumstances let them down. The far right would say, no, that individual pays the price for what they did. They are the ones who committed the crime, they pay the consequences, they do the time. So the left, rehabilitation, the right, retribution, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. As far as gun control goes, the left would be against guns and the right would be for guns. That's one freedom they do believe in. As far as peacekeeping operations, the left would say it's okay to send just peacekeeping, send the developing world bridges and engineers and nurses and food and aid. The far right would say help the developing world by sending military and setting up factories in those countries. Now the left would say that's just exploiting them still, and most money would come back to Canada. The right would say, well, that left's plan is going to cost Canadian taxpayers so much money, and yeah, we're exploiting them in the short term, but in the long term they'll learn how to run a factory. Like 10 cents a day for a 16-hour work week is better than no cents a day. As far as LGBTQ rights, the left, complete, full equality, gay rights and equality, and even more, go further to chip in taxpayer money, maybe for community centers, etc., parades. The liberals in the middle, and in the far right, we're like, no special treatment for LGBTQ. Maybe it's against the Christian Bible. It's sort of immoral. Like, for instance, marijuana. The far right would go, that's the devil's weed, that wacky tobacco. We're going to put you in jail further. Far left would be like, legalize marijuana completely. It should be, free to do in this society. In fact, let's make cigarettes illegal because there's nothing good about them. But the far left, completely legalize marijuana, maybe for 16 and up. The liberals are in the middle. And then, I guess, that will be the end, in the sense that we have to understand in Civics Model Parliament, we'll pick 6 of those issues, and some of you will be liberals, some will be conservatives, some will be NDP. And they are extreme left and extreme right views, but we'll have a little bit of fun with it. And that's it. Good luck.